Joining us here to kick off our second hour of this day is my Hall of Fame friend, Kurt Warner. Good to see you, Kurt. How are you, sir?
Hey. I'm good, my man. How are you?
I am doing fine. I don't know what to start with you, so let's start with Philip Rivers. What went through your head when you heard Philip got the call from the Colts and he said, sure, and he's going through this? What's going through your mind about this one, Kurt?
I mean, I think what's going through everybody else's mind. It's crazy. I will take you back. I remember I was a few years out of the league when the Cardinals had some struggles at quarterback, and they never ended up calling me, but there was just speculation, people talking about, hey, they should call Kurt. And I remember running out in the backyard and start throwing the football a little bit and taking some drops and like, okay, if they do call, could I do this? Could I come back and play? And the biggest thing was I'm not as worried, from a physical standpoint in terms of throwing the football. Like that's something that, when you know how to do it, you don't really lose it. I know Philip's been around football, obviously coaching and stuff the last few years. So I'm not as worried about him being able to throw a football. My biggest concern, and I really had two of them. The first one was just the mental speed of the game, not being around it, not being in it, and thinking that after a couple years out, I could actually step back onto a football field and play anywhere close and process anywhere close to what I was doing when I was playing, after having not done that and been in that kind of setting for a while. And so that was the first thing that I was thinking. And then the second thing I was thinking was, man, the one thing I wouldn't want to do is come back and then have something, dumb, like, I pull my hamstring, trying to move out of the pocket because I'm an old guy trying to play. And then it just becomes this, kind of wasted, whole scenario that plays out. And so those were a couple of the thoughts that went through my mind. There are obviously some things that I'm thinking about with Philip here, is that, I think he'll be fine throwing the football. But, when you put yourself out there with these athletes, that are playing and the speed of the game, if you're not giving yourself the best opportunity to succeed mentally and seeing it and processing it, it concerns me a little bit. So that's kind of what I'm going to be watching on Sunday. If he actually gets in there and plays or starts in this game, going to be a huge challenge. And I think like most people, I just want to see it go fairly well or average or some good things out there. I just don't want to see this as a kind of a crash and burn situation.
Yeah, he's in Seattle where the defenses there, Kurt, over the last month have been wrapping the game up by the second quarter. Like they've given Sam Darnold a couple of afternoons or evenings off in the second half. And that's the question about, neck up, no questions about Philip Rivers. And as you said, arm strength, ability to throw the football, not so much. It's all the other stuff and timing, I would imagine, as well, right? That said, though, do you really think it could go well for him to step off of, an airplane for after sitting around, or obviously coaching is another thing, and playing the Seattle Seahawks, Kurt, who could be one of the best team in the NFL at the end of the day?
I think
I feel stupid asking somebody who's Mr. Magic Carpet Ride, can it happen? You know what I mean? Like you are the embodiment of anything can happen.
But I think there's two sides of it. That I respect Philip Rivers and who he is as a player, and this whole thing enough to not just go into it and say, oh, there's no chance he's going to have any success, because a great player and putting himself out there like this, I respect him too much for that. But I also respect the game a lot as well. And what goes into playing this position at this level with the athletes that are on the other side of the field and all the different nuances that go into playing the position, I respect that so much too, that I don't know how a guy comes off the couch after 5 years of not being a part of it and not being in it and not doing it, and having success or a high level of success in such a short period of time. And so, I fall on both sides. That I really don't know. I do think it's going to be really, really difficult and a huge challenge, and not something that I'm expecting him to come out and have great success. But I'm hoping he does. I'm hoping that this is an unbelievable story, and I hope that he can come back and do some really good things for this team, and maybe give them a little bit of hope down the stretch.
Did I really just ask the "can this be possible" question to a man who's got a Sports Illustrated cover of "Who is this guy?" from his magic carpet ride and his bust replica behind him? Like, I just did that.
I mean, you got to get those centered.
What is my problem
there? A lot of people probably thought I was sitting on a couch until I showed up in '99 with the Rams, but I was playing a lot of football, even when nobody knew I was playing football. So it was not like I was just coming out of nowhere, having not played football, and just showed up and jumped on the scene in the NFL. I'm fascinated to see, like everybody else, how this is going to play out.
Yeah, you were an Arena League couch, a European League couch, and I guess now's the time, I guess, for us to uncork is this the latest sign that the NFL has a quarterback development problem? That a team that does suddenly have to get down a quarterback through who might be hurt. Now, obviously, that might have something to do with it. Riley Leonard might not be able to go, but they're calling Phillip Rivers up and saying, "What do you think? What do you got left in you?" Kurt, is that a sign of a problem still on the quarterback development front?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's twofold. Is first of all, it's a sign of the difference between starting level quarterback play and then in most situations the drop off from that is that there's not a lot of guys that are in those backup roles that teams say, okay, this is the guy that can carry us and carry a good football team and take us where we want to go. And so it's trying to take one of those guys from the past and see if you can recapture a little bit of that magic. And so, yeah, it can be, the developmental part of it, but obviously, with Indy, it was a couple crazy situations with Anthony Richardson, and then obviously a young quarterback, that's still, getting up to speed in Riley Leonard, that would be in those spots anyways. But yeah, I mean, I think it just shows that teams are always on the lookout for good quarterbacks, and there can't be enough good quarterbacks. And so you have to, uncover every rock, and you've got to try to find a guy that can, give you a level of success beyond your starter if your starter goes down. But, we know it's often a struggle to get 32 guys, to find 32 guys that are bona fide NFL starting quarterbacks. And so when you get beyond that, it just shows you teams are looking for that next guy, or, trying to bring a guy along, and they're just not there yet.
Kurt Warner here on the Rich Eisen Show. So we saw Joe Burrow in his press conference on Wednesday sound, quite frankly, downright Andrew Lucky, Kurt, I'd love for you to translate for me, since you speak fluent quarterback, what you thought made of Joe Burrow's comments on Wednesday.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hate to speculate on what specifically he was talking about. Was he talking about more of the Andrew Luck thing, where it's been a rough go and it hasn't been as fun playing the game because of the injuries and getting banged around and having to play through injuries? It hasn't been as smooth and easy as I thought it would be. So that's taken away the fun. Is it more, a shot at where the organization is and the limitations that we've seen inside the organization, whether that be, the struggles on defense, where they can go out and play well and still not win games, play well offensively and still not win games? Is it, some of the hits that he's taken over the years because the offensive line has never really been solidified? And so those things, not winning and not having the level of success, or having personal success but not team success like he wanted, is taking away some of the fun, in this. So I don't know which way to read it. But I do understand to a degree, how those things make the game a lot less fun when you're a competitor, and especially when you're playing well and your team's not having success, and you're at this stage in a season after having made some runs in the playoffs. At this stage in the season, you're like, I got 4 games left and 4 weeks left in the season. We got nothing to play for, and it's not fun. once you've been there. When you're a young guy and you just love playing and you're trying to prove something, that's one thing. After you've gotten to the Super Bowl and after you've played well in the playoffs, to be out of the playoffs early in a season is kind of like, man, can we just start the season over and let's do this again? We don't really have anything, to play for from that standpoint. So there's a lot of different directions I think, his comments, could lead us to. I'm not sure which one it is, but I understand it from any of those sides that it's not fun to play the game and not win and just be getting beat up and to go through injuries and struggle through that. And, maybe to be on a team that just doesn't have the pieces that, meet your level of play to allow you to thrive the way you feel you should be based on the way you're playing.
Kurt Warner here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's talk a little QB Confidential, all 22. Since we saw the Jaguars in the London game, they've lost only once, and that was a game in which they led by 19 against the Houston Texans. They've really come on strong, and they're now 9-4. Are you seeing anything different out of Trevor Lawrence over the last month and a half? Kurt?
I think Trevor's playing really well. Some of his better games the last couple weeks I've felt. And the thing, and we talked about it when we were in London, the thing is, Trevor is a really good quarterback, and he can make every throw, and he can wow you and probably will wow you with some throws every single week. The biggest thing with Trevor through this point of his career is that there's always, moments in games, 4, 5, 6 times in a game where he misses a read that's just like an easy read that he's made a million times, and he just misses it, and it leaves you scratching your head. Or after watching him make an incredible throw, he misses 2 layup throws that you're just like, how does this happen? How does somebody so talented and who's done so many good things miss this many what we would call easy things in the NFL? And that's really been the one thing that's held him back, in my opinion, from becoming an elite type quarterback in the National Football League. And I feel he's gotten more comfortable and been better in those areas during this stretch. Their defense has played great. Brian Thomas has gotten more involved. Jacoby Myers, I think, was a great addition for them, but they just look like a complete team right now. He's not having to carry them as he has in the past. And I think because of all of that, he's playing more solid football from top to bottom during this stretch. And the team's playing more solid football.
And there was much made before and after the Eagles' loss in Los Angeles on Monday Night Football that Nick Sirianni took more of a role in the offense leading up to the game, and they were talking about it afterwards. Anything that you saw on film, any different concepts that the Eagles ran on Monday night, Kurt?
Not really. A lot of the same base concepts that they run. And again, I mean, I don't mind their concepts. I know you might say they don't have a lot of them, and so you may call them, call it a little more simple, elementary from that. But I still think they run good, solid concepts. Like, I don't look at their plays. Like, there's some teams out there where I look at their plays and go, what in the world are these people doing? Like, what are they trying to do? What's the quarterback supposed to think?
You want to share?
I'm not sharing those right now.
Come on.
Maybe at another time. Maybe we'll get into that.
Okay.
But I don't think that when I watch the Eagles play. Like, I watch them and I'm like, hey, it's a good, solid concept. It might be a simple concept, but they've had great success with that concept over the years. It's a concept that should work, against the coverage that they're going against. And so I am fine with it. And, in this game, there were a lot of opportunities out there. I thought, Jalen made, a number of plays in this game and a number of plays that guys on the other end didn't make that could have changed the complexion of it. He missed some plays in this game, which we see. The 4 interceptions, I'm actually just posted it on QB Confidential. I broke down the 4 interceptions. So if somebody wants to go and watch that and see kind of the little things that went into that, and some on Jalen, some on other parts, some on the defense, as always. So, but yeah, I didn't see a dramatic change in anything that they did. But again, it wasn't bad stuff. I didn't, go watch the film and go, oh, gosh, nobody's open. There's nowhere to throw the football. There were opportunities out there, some made, some not made.
And Travis Kelce went on his pod with his bro on the New Heights pod and said that he's struggling finding the answers to what ails, what can be fixed. What are you seeing? What are you seeing, Kurt, from the Chiefs?
Yeah, I mean,
here.
The Chiefs in general, I think, are struggling offensively with a lot of different issues. Up front, they had a number of issues. To Travis's point, he'd always been that guy for Patrick in the past. The guy that, hey, when I need a play, he's going to make it for me. I can look his direction, and we're going to have this connection that we're just going to find a way. And Travis, by his own admission, he's not that guy anymore. He's not creating a separation, that feel for the game, or the ability to just find ways to get open is not happening like it has in the past. I think that the age and the wear and tear, he just isn't as explosive and elusive as he once was. And now that puts the onus on some of these other guys to be that for Patrick Mahomes. And as we talked about on game day last week, I don't believe these players are that. They've got some good players, but I don't believe they have number one difference makers, and especially when it comes to like being route runners. They might be great if you can get the ball to them in space and they can make someone miss and run. But if you're asking somebody, to dial up a great route and to beat some guys in one-on-one and to be that go-to guy that you can build around, I don't believe they have that guy in their offense in the passing game since Travis isn't there anymore. And it shows up, and especially shows up when you're playing against great defenses like the Texans.
In a couple minutes I have left with you, Kurt Warner, the two 11-win teams with second-year quarterbacks that are surprising with the Patriots and the Broncos on big, fat win streaks, have their hands full at home this weekend. The Bills coming in, trying to avoid the sweep at the hands of the Patriots, who could wrap up this division with a win. Yeah. And then there's the Packers taking on the Broncos. What are you looking to see out of May and Nix in these games? What do you want to see from them, Kirk?
Yeah. When it comes to Drake May, I don't really need to see him do, anything different than he's been doing. He's been playing the game extremely well. He's been seeing it. He's been making the throws. He's manipulating things. I guess, the one thing it's probably going to take in this game is a couple of those special downfield throws that he's been making all year long. It's hard to be as consistent throwing the ball 35, 40 yards down the field as he's been. But that's been a big part of just about, every one of their wins. There's one or two of those big throws. I think he's going to have a couple more of those in this game for them to get a win. But just keep doing what you're doing, because he's playing really, really well. On the other side with Bo Nix, Bo's doing a lot of really good things too. The one thing that I continue to see with Bo is that he often plays a little bit too fast. And, like this last week, I think he was 31 of 38 against the Raiders, which the numbers are obviously great. And he finds positive plays, whether that's with his legs running or finding checkdowns. But there were a number of big throws in that game that he missed, big opportunities in that game that he missed by playing the game a little bit too fast and getting to his check down instead of staying in the pocket, settling in and reading the plays out. And I just feel like against a good Packers team, with Jordan Love making as many big plays as he's been making on the other side, that Bo's going to have to make some of those plays in this game if they're going to come out of there with a victory. So that's kind of the one thing that I want to see Bo take that next step in that area on top of all the other good things that he's doing.
All right, and lastly, who gets the QB Confidential MVP All 22 Player of the Week? What do you got?
This was a good week. Your guy in Minnesota, J.J. McCarthy, played well. Jordan Love played well. Bo Nix obviously had a good game.
Okay.
Yeah. Jared Goff played well. But to me, it came down to two guys, and it came down to Matthew Stafford and Josh Allen this past week. And Staff, did what he's been doing, just playing great football, 3 more touchdowns, and just some great throws. Him and Puka were awesome. Break that down a little bit this week on game day. But I'll give the edge to Josh Allen, because I thought he played a really solid game, and then he put on the cape a couple times when he needed to. Kind of what we were talking about on game day, that I believe the best version of Josh Allen is when he plays on schedule and in the pocket and plays the game and allows the offense to work for him. And then when there's a couple plays, a fourth down play where you got to throw it in between three defenders and hit your guy for a touchdown, put on the cape. When there's a time where there's an unblocked defender coming at you and you got to find a way to make a miss and run 45 yards for a touchdown, you got to put on the cape. And that's exactly what he did in a game where they found themselves down and maybe outplayed early on. He made a couple of those special plays along with being solid in all those other areas to help get him a big win.
Kurt, you make it fun for me, so I think I'm going to keep doing this for a while. So thank you.
All right.
I really appreciate
it. I like that you're having fun.
Thank you.
I have fun with you too. It's why we show up every Sunday and we love what we do. So
that's right.
but yeah, I think I'll retire too when I stop having fun.